Greetings there everyone, and welcome back to Joe's Metal Mancave vlog. Today I have a collection update that will once again just involve cassette tapes, and you know, it's funny that I've kind of gotten into cassette tapes in recent years. I've obviously had them when I was a kid, and various stages of my life I've always had them, but I always kind of hated them. But since a lot of old stuff is getting re-released on cassette tapes, and sometimes only on cassette tape, or the most affordable option being cassette tapes, it's just sort of become a physical form I've decided to collect. And yeah, it's just a way to get a lot of these old albums that are otherwise out of print and sometimes very expensive in your collection, in your ears. So to kick things off, we're going to talk about a legendary but very underrated black metal band from France known as Nehëmah. And just recently, I think it was back in May, Dread Records re-released all three albums from the band, which is Light of the Dead Star, Shadows from the Past, and Requiem Tenebrae. So Nehëmah originally formed in 1992. Then in 1995 they released a demo called Light of the Dead Star, and then they broke up shortly thereafter. The band then reformed in 2000 and went as far as 2015, although Light of the Dead Star was released in 2002, Shadows from the Past in 2003, and Requiem Tenebrae in 2004, all by Oakenshield Records. And after 2004, the band, I'm assuming, just played live, or was just in sort of a I was asleep or something, I don't know, but they officially broke up in 2015. So, these are albums I've wanted to get in my collection for roughly about 10 years ago. So, it's pretty awesome that Dread Records re-released all of these, because these are just total underrated classics. The only reason I haven't gotten the CD versions is because it seemed like whenever I looked them up, they were kind of pricey, not super pricey, but they're all kind of in that like $20 to $30 range, and I guess, you know, it's not too bad, but I don't know, I tend to be a bargain hunter when it comes to, you know, kind of finding some stuff, but the more I put off, you know, trying to find these old original presses, just the more expensive they're going to be. So I should have bought them years ago, but anyway, I have them now, and that's what's best, and that's what's awesome. So, how to describe Nehëmah? Basically, I would say this band is like a mixture of Dark Thrones, A Blaze in a Northern Sky, and Under a Funeral Moon with Mayhem's Die Mysterious Dom Satanis, and a little bit of early Emperor. But then the band has its own sort of twisted melodicism and just really grim approach to black metal, and that's what I love about this stuff. I mean, early 2000s, black metal was definitely going through a very experimental phase. You know, a lot of bands were doing the industrial thing where they were striving for better productions or more melodic qualities, but this is like a total, you know, like blast to the past. You know, sounds like mid-90s Norwegian black metal, and it is fantastic. These guys got the chainsaw buzzing sound, the guitar's down perfectly. It's raw, grim, cold, and violent, and it's just really good. It's just every riff is fantastic. And the music kind of moves through more blasting sections to some sort of more, you know, head bobbing kind of riffs, and then just real dark, gloomy stuff. There's even some synth used here and there, and the bass actually has a pretty interesting presence in the music too, which I love, because I love when black metal has the bass presence. You know, it has that sort of slow, creeping effect to it. It's really, really cool. I love it when bands, you know, consider the fact that bass just adds so much to this kind of black metal. So, I don't know if there's necessarily a song on these records that really stands out, and kind of one of my frustrations sometimes too is with cassettes that I can't really keep track of the songs that I love best. I just put it on and, you know, kind of just sit back and relax and just enjoy it. I don't really pay attention to lyrics or which song I'm on or whatever, but just as a whole, I think Light of the Dead Star is my favorite. Just phenomenal stuff as far as I'm concerned. I haven't seen the original CD pressings, but I would assume Dead Speak Designs' reinterpretation here to cassette is similar to that. I can't show you the Light of the Dead Star cassette because it's in the tape player right now, but they all look very comparable to the Shadows from the Past cassette tape. Black with the silvery gray print on it, and then the layout here for this one. Very simple and very old school as it was intended to be. Interesting characteristic too, even though these guys did form in the early 90s, they don't seem to have had any connection to the Les Legion Noir scene. In fact, they weren't from the same city or anything like that. I believe most of those bands were from Brittany, France, I think is where those bands were from. These guys were from, I can't recall, but I guess they weren't too connected to any of that, so yeah. What else can I say other than if you have not heard these and you like just raw, grim, old school sounding black metal that's just cold as fucking, just genuinely evil sounding. This is the kind of black metal that just really makes the hairs like kind of rise up on the back of your neck, and you can just feel the evil emanating from this music. This is just fantastic stuff. And as I said again, it's great to finally have these in my collection. I don't have to listen to the MP3s I've had downloaded for years, or YouTube, or whatever your preference may be when you don't own an album. But yeah, great albums. Very underrated, very overlooked, and I don't really know why the band broke up, but two of the guys from this band, they also played in Himmelbjörg, which I mentioned in a recent collection update, and other than that, though, they didn't really go on to much stuff, so I don't know if they was just, felt that they had fulfilled everything they set to do with the band or what, but it's a bit of a shame they broke up. This is really, really fucking good. So yeah, Nehëmah. It's probably no secret that the early Norwegian black metal scene involved a lot of people who were already involved in the underground years before the whole boom in Norway. You had bands like Old Funeral, Amputation, and more recently, Nuclear War Now Productions has exhumed an old band and their tapes who were known as Phobia. Phobia was of immediate interest to me because it features members from Enslaved, and being a huge fan of both the early and, well, really the whole entire catalog of Enslaved, I was very curious to see where these guys started out. Phobia is basically doom death metal, which was not very untypical for the time, but what we have here on this demo is very, very good for, considering their age and the time frame, I guess. So this band featured Hein Freud Hansen, who later on founded Theater of Tragedy, and they obviously became very popular in the Norwegian Gothic, doom metal, and they helped kind of pioneer that Beauty and the Beast sound in the early 90s. Then, of course, you have Ivar Bjørnsen and Kruto Jossen, who, of course, went on to Enslaved and done, amazing albums after that. But even here in 1991, this is some pretty solid stuff. Ivar was only 14 years old when this was released, and Grutul was only like 17. I mean, and I think Hein Freud Hansen, he was only like 17 or 18 too. It's really impressive for like their age and the time frame. I mean, there's actually some really solid riffs. There's some, the doomy or soul parts that are just really kind of atmospheric. There's some synth here and there. But, yeah, it's really cool and really surprising. Like, I've listened to this more than I expected. I kind of bought this just thinking, like, I'll listen to it once just, for historical perspectives or, whatever, to see where the guys came from. But then I actually really like this a lot. It's actually really well done. And I guess I'm not surprised considering that all of the early Enslaved stuff is so good and they were still teenagers when all that stuff came out. But this is good, man. Solid death doom here. And basically what you get on this compilation, which is called the Slaughterhouse Tapes, if I didn't say that already, you get their Feverish Convulsions demo and the second demo, which is called The Last Settlement of Ragnarok. The Feverish Convulsions demo is definitely the better of the two, whereas The Last Settlement of Ragnarok is more of a rehearsal, I guess, but I guess they are both officially released as demos. And then you also get a few other unreleased demo tracks, one that goes all the way back to December of 1990, so yeah, man, you're talking like Ivar being like, 13 years old back then too. It's pretty impressive stuff considering, the age and the time frame and all that, but the band existed for like maybe a year, and then I believe in 1992 Enslaved was formed, and Enslaved released their Nehëmah demo, which, I keep hoping they're going to re-release it someday because I've listened to it on YouTube and it's actually pretty cool and pretty unique for its time. I mean, the sound is crazy, bad, but it's unique and interesting demo, so hopefully they re-release that one day so we can truly see the roots of Enslaved and truly see the roots of those guys' careers. But this is definitely a very interesting picture of where these guys started. And if you like Enslaved, or if you just like slow, dirty, doomy death metal, I'm quite sure you'll like Phobia. The production is obviously very raw, very underground, and I mean it's typical demo production you'd kind of expect from a demo from 1991, but it was certainly cleaned up here and remastered to the best of someone's ability. It's very very approachable, very good, and yeah, man, just check it out, Phobia. So on the front cover we have this grim dude here, and then we have what I'm assuming is basically a recreation of the original demo layout. Similarly, with this other one here, I'm assuming it's very comparable to the original, so that's really cool. I kind of like when these old demos get re-released and, they try to make them look like they did as they were when they originally were released. It's a white cassette tape, it's playing in the tape deck right now, so I can't show that, of course, but yeah, I think it was pretty imperative that I get this on cassette tape because that's how it was originally released, and it was also released on CD and 12-inch vinyl, but I don't know. I had to go with the cassette option, just seemed like the best, so yeah. Phobia, Slaughterhouse tapes. Right then, so another recent pickup and another classic as far as I'm concerned, an album that, oh man, weird to think that I'm only getting this in my collection right now because this is an album I've known about for well over 20 years. Yeah. So the album in question is First Spell by Gehenna, or Gehenna. I don't know how you guys pronounce it. I always pronounce it Gehenna, but I don't know. So Gehenna's First Spell is the band's debut EP, originally released in 1994 on Head Not Found Records. The re-release I have here is the Darkness Shall Rise re-release from 2021. It's limited to 333 copies. So again, kind of talking about how, cassettes are making these old recordings available in a affordable way, and I couldn't resist on this. I have wanted this in my collection for, 20 years at least. I mean, again, I don't know why I just didn't, spring for the original and buy it. I'm sure at any point in time I could have bought it. I don't know, I didn't. So, what I can say about this early EP from Gehenna, I'm going to call it Gehenna, is that it's very kind of synthy, mid-paced, eerie, dark-sounding black metal. Honestly, in 1994, there wasn't really any other Norwegian black metal band that this instantly reminds me of. I mean, comparisons could certainly be made to Emperor, but I mean, Emperor was a lot more fast and just a lot more, technically proficient, I think, perhaps. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. It has, I don't want to use the word gothic, perhaps, but it definitely has some gothic-y kind of characteristics in the keyboards. Very sort of, ooky spooky and just, I don't know. It has that vibe, but it's not like, it doesn't sound like, I don't know, Cradle of Filth or something like that. I don't think so anyway, but it definitely has that creepy kind of dark synthy, melodic synth characteristic to it, and really, really cool, creepy, dark vocals, and again, just mid-paced music. The band would change a little bit by the time they got to their first album, Seen Through the Veils of Darkness, which is, I think, the best album they ever released. Total masterpiece. If you've never heard this album, definitely look it up. But Gehenna's a weird band. They very quickly evolved. They got faster by the time they got to this album, and then by the late 90s they started intermingling a lot of death metal characteristics into their music. In fact, it'd probably be safe to say that they eventually became a death metal band because the black metal characteristics were very minuscule, and I think since 2000 the band's only released 2 albums since then, and I heard them at some point in time but did not like them at all. And seems to be the general consensus is that everyone likes First Spell and Seen Through the Veils of Darkness again, and their second album, Malice, which is also really good. Another one I don't own for some reason, I don't know why, but but this is really, just great stuff, man. If you've never heard this or, overlooked it over the years or whatever, if it's like me and wanna, find it with a CD you've had forever, then Darkness Shall Rise Productions has the answer for you. And very, very good quality. The tape comes on a black cassette tape. It looks fantastic, but again, it's in tape deck playing, so I can't show it to you, but the layout's really, really good. It's on heavy cardstock, so it's super professional, and it's a release that definitely deserves treatment. And definitely, if you've never heard any or a fan of early Norwegian black metal, this is some essential stuff. So, Gehenna, first up. Alright, continuing on, we're going to talk about Urgehal and their debut album, Arma Christi. So, Urgehal's Arma Christi was originally released in 1997 by No Colors Records, and Urgehal is a band I have known about, again, for, probably well over 20 years. But it wasn't probably until like 10 years ago I heard Goldcraft Torment and Through Thick Fog Till Death. And I thought they were decent black metal records, but I think what I remember disliking about them was that they just, for the given style, they felt like they were just too long. I remember Through Thick Fog was like almost an hour long. It just felt like too much of the just kind of not very diverse style that Urgehal has become known for. And the style they've kind of become known for is a very simplistic sort of tremolo-based riff, structure with blasting drums, and then they also move into that more sort of, I guess, like galloping black and roll kind of style. It's not too different from something like Carpathian Forest, although I will definitely say that I like Urgehal more. I'm not a fan of Carpathian Forest much at all, and I've always thought that band was really overrated and unnecessary. But Urgehal I dig, and people have told me for years that Arma Christi and their other early stuff like Atomkinder was the cream of the crop as far as their discography was concerned. And perhaps that's true, but I see here at Arma Christi the style is very, very comparable to the later stuff as well. Although the production here is much more murky and dark and generally a little more, just totally underground sounding, whereas some other stuff later on is a bit more well produced. But definitely digging this stuff. I wouldn't by any means say that this is like essential, because it's not, but it was interesting to hear where this band started, especially since I kind of hopped onto their career in the middle of their existence, so to speak, with those other mid-period albums I used to own from them. I think in a lot of ways, too, this band has become sort of famous just for their guitarist, Enzyfer, who has this sort of spiky headgear he wears during live shows, and it kind of resembles Pinhead from the Hellraiser movies, and he's always covered with blood and has knives on stage or in promo photos. He looks fucking cool, but I think a lot of the attention this band has gotten has been more centered around him than maybe their actual music, which is kind of weird. But yeah, it's decent, but I'm not gonna by any means say it's something you have to hear unless you're really into that just kind of basic black metal sound with kind of a little bit of black and roll tossed in here and there. But interesting band. These guys have been around since 1992, and they just released their last album quite a while ago, actually, in 2016. So they're definitely due for something new. I haven't heard any of the newer records. Again, just kind of that mid-period stuff, and now this first one. So it's pretty safe to say they've maintained a consistent style throughout the years. But again, I don't know. I would not by any means say, you have to hear it unless you really like the style. So Urgehal, Arma Christi. Alright, one more for this cassette tape collection update, and we're going to talk about a project known as HollowHecatomb and their new album, Procession of Evil. So HollowHecatomb has been around for about 10 years now, and it is a solo project of J.M. Sundown. J.M. Sundown has played in bands like Shroud of Despondency, The Cold Beyond, Lost Tribes of the Moon, Temper, and a variety of other bands since the early 90s. HollowHecatomb over the years has been very diverse. Originally started out in a black metal sort of punkish style, and then progressing more into a, industrial metal style, kind of comparable to something like Godflesh. And then there's some albums that are just pure noise or experimental power electronics. Hard to describe how to really label it, but that's just the generalized way I can probably describe it to you. So a very diverse project that has no immediately recognizable sound, which is very cool. And all the music over the years has always been created and performed just by J.M. Sundown. So on this more recent one, he returns back to the black metal sound, and what you get on this record is sort of a mixture of like kind of the style that he had on his first album, which is a self-titled album. And it's sort of just really raw, punkish black metal, I guess, man, the best way to put it. Very almost like rehearsalish production, and just very angry and very pissed off sounding. But some really good drumming, some very good riffs. I really dig it a lot. I've had to listen to a lot. I've always really enjoyed J.M. Sundown's work, and regardless of the genres he's presented over the years, it's all very good stuff. Especially if if you're into more experimental music and all that kind of stuff. But this was released on the Virtues label, which is primarily known for releasing industrial music, and I believe this is the only black metal or even like metal release they've had in the label. But yeah, I also, when I listen to this stuff, I kind of get this feeling that it sounds like it's influenced by like the old Ylbjarn stuff, which is, there's been other bands that kind of tackled that style over the years, but I feel like J.M. Sundown does it really well, and his very kind of sort of shouty, half-crawled vocals are very interesting too, and very different, and just, not like, like a typical black metal or, extreme metal vocals in general. There's also 2 cover songs. One is from I believe, or I'm assuming, German punk band named Fliehende Sturm? I don't know how to pronounce it, or I've never heard of the band, but one that's Sleepwalking is the name of the song, and then they also do, or he does, a cover of Why Don't You, which is an old Cro-Mags song. So, I've known Cro-Mags, it's been years since I heard them, but yeah, really cool, diverse. It's pretty short, it's only about, 35 minutes, something like that, but very interesting, and, again, just sort of punky, very raw, black metal, I guess would be the best way to describe it, and just cool stuff. So yeah, Procession of Evil by HollowHecatomb. Well, that'll do it for this collection update, and I have to thank you guys for watching this video and just all the recent subscribers recently. Very cool, very appreciative. It's great to see that the YouTube, black metal, and metal community has been checking these videos out, and I can't possibly thank you guys enough for that. I'm already at like 340 subscribers, and I've only been doing this since earlier this year, so I feel like the subscribers and everything's kind of moving pretty fast and pretty well, so I guess you guys are digging this, so thank you so much for that. I think when I get to 500 subscribers, I'll finally do like a giveaway contest or something like that, maybe for other people who do vlogs, and then I can draw a prize or something like that, like I see a lot of other guys do. And then I've had a lot of fun watching people do that kind of stuff when people put up those contests or challenges or whatever. So maybe I'll think of something like that once I get to the 500 subscribers mark, which is ever closer. So thank you guys always for watching. Thank you so much for checking out this video in particular, and I'll see you next time on Joe's Battle Mancave.